Have you ever wondered what's really going on with things like IBS or celiac disease? What's the real connection between the food we eat and how we feel? Well, today, we're diving into a really fascinating take on gut health. It suggests that a lot of our modern problems might actually be linked to one single, super common ingredient. We're going to explore the incredible journey our food takes and see how it might just impact, well, everything. So let's get right to it. Celiac, IBS, gluten sensitivity, what's the actual connection here? The perspective we're looking at today suggests the answer isn't just what you're eating, but whether your body still has the tools to handle it properly. And to really get it, we need to take a little trip through your own gastrointestinal tract. Yeah, it's this 8-meter-long tube, about 26 feet, running right through you. And here's a wild thought, it's technically still the outside of your body. Nothing you eat is really part of you until it's been broken down and allowed to pass through that lining. Okay, so our journey starts in the one place where we have total 100% control, our mouth. Think about it. We decide what goes in, how often it goes in, and, most importantly, how long it stays there. And this is where things get really cool. Your mouth is an alkaline environment. It's perfectly designed for an enzyme called amylase to start breaking down starches, from things like bread or potatoes. But the second that food drops into your stomach, bam! It hits a bath of hydrochloric acid, a totally different world, where an enzyme called pepsin takes over to digest protein. 2 different stages, 2 totally different jobs. This whole delicate balance brings us to this great, memorable piece of advice. You should chew your drinks and drink your food. I know it sounds a little weird, right? But it's actually a core principle for setting your entire digestive system up for a win. And the reason why is, well, it's just beautifully simple. Your stomach doesn't have teeth. The more you mechanically break down that food in your mouth, turning it into a liquid, the less work every other part of your system has to do. That simple act of chewing properly is a massive favor to your stomach. All right, so let's follow that food. It's leaving the stomach now and heading into the small intestine. And this is where we meet the real heroes, the true guardians of our internal world, our gut bacteria. The perspective we're exploring here has this powerful way of looking at it. Your gut flora is your body's border protection. It's not just some random bacteria hanging out. Imagine it like a thick, living, jungle-like turf that lines your intestines. It is an active barrier that decides what gets into your bloodstream and what gets kicked out. So what does this border protection actually do? Well, it has 3 incredibly important jobs. First, it does the final breakdown of your food. Then, it manages the absorption of all those good nutrients into your blood. And finally, it protects you. It stops harmful stuff from ever crossing that border. It's basically the grand finale of digestion. But where does this amazing protection even come from? Well, according to this view, it's established the moment we're born. As a baby travels through the birth canal, it gets showered in the mother's microbes. That's step 1. Then, the mother's first milk, colostrum, comes packed with even more microorganisms to help seed and line the baby's brand new gut. These 2 steps are the foundation for a lifetime of defense. Okay, so now we have a picture of a healthy, well-protected system. Now, let's introduce the main character in this whole story, modern, hybridized wheat. See, the argument here is that the wheat we eat today is just fundamentally different from the wheat our great-great-grandparents ate. Ancient wheats had a really fragile protein structure, which made them pretty easy for us to break down. But then, in the 1950s, it was hybridized to create these super high-yield crops. The side effect of that? A much, much more complex and tough protein structure that our bodies really struggle with. And when our bodies try to break down this modern wheat, it can create a substance called glutamorphine. And that name is no accident. The morphine part is there because it has opiate-like properties, which can have some really surprising effects on us. Now, this is where that border protection we talked about becomes absolutely critical. If your gut is healthy, if that flora is thick and strong, it can basically neutralize the morphine part of that molecule. It only lets the harmless bits through. Job done. But if that border is weak, if there are gaps in the lining, that gut flora can't do its job. The entire glutamorphine molecule can slip right through into the bloodstream. From there, it can travel up to the brain and connect with opiate receptor sites. And this, according to the theory, is what can lead to that feeling of brain fog, fatigue, and even feeling kind of addicted to bread and pasta. So, if the problem is this mix of modern wheat and a weakened gut lining, what's the solution? Well, the good news is there's a clear step-by-step plan for healing. Okay, here's the plan. It starts with elimination. You've got to stop the assault, so you cut out wheat, dairy, and refined sugar to give that gut lining a break. Next, you actively help it by taking a probiotic to bring in more of the good guys. You can also use soothing herbs like aloe vera or slippery elm to help coat and protect the gut. Hydration is huge, but the key is to drink your water between meals, not with them, so you don't dilute your digestive juices. Then there's adjusting when you eat, which is a big one we'll get to. Daily exercises in there to keep everything moving. And finally, and this one is so important, you have to reduce stress because stress has a direct physical impact on your digestion. And that point about meal timing, this quote just says it all. Breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and tea like a pauper. The whole idea is to eat your biggest meal at the start of the day when you need the fuel, and your smallest meal at the end. I mean, it makes sense, right? Going to bed on a full stomach forces your digestive system to work all night when it should be resting and repairing. And all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most powerful idea in this whole approach, that healing isn't just about a checklist. It's about learning to actually listen to what your own body is telling you. I love this quote. Everyone carries around in themselves their own doctor. The core idea is that your body knows how to heal. It has this incredible, innate ability to fix itself. Our job is just to create the right conditions for it to do that work and then to pay attention to the signals it sends us, whether that's less bloating, more energy, or a clearer mind. You really do become your own best doctor.
So to put that to the test, the source material throws down a challenge: get off wheat completely for 2 months. Now, why 2 months? Well, even though the food passes through you pretty fast, they say its effects can stick around in your system for up to 6 weeks. 2 months is what it takes to get a totally clean slate, so you can see how your body really feels without it.
And that's really the question to leave you with. When you look at your health through this lens, from the simple power of chewing all the way to the critical role of your gut's border protection, it gives you a whole new way to think. The ultimate proof, as this perspective would say, is your own experience. So, what could you learn if you just gave your body a chance? You have nothing to lose and maybe everything to gain. Are you willing to find out?